Thanks. So I think we can start. How do you think?
Yeah, let's get started, Dennis.
All right, cool. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mo Handel, to join us tonight. And we have a discussion for a few things like upcoming in the town of Needham in general, which is where like the community cares a lot. And also, I think because of the recent incident related to anti-Asian hate around in the States, there are a lot of concerns related to the community in general too. So I will now pass the mic to Mr. Handel and to share his perspective on the agenda items. Feel free to take away.
Dennis, can I do a quick 20 seconds intro for Mo? So
yes,
yeah,
yes,
thank
please.
you, Dennis. So Mo, you know, Dennis is the president for CFN, and thank you, Dennis, for hosting this. So Mo is a very great friend of CFN, attending the Chinese New Year celebration for at least 2 in a row. So we remember that. He's very generous. Last time present a ton of Needham certificate for our organization. Very supportive of our cause, respect the diversity. And for this session, he especially want to listen to the Needham residents from our members, our concerns. We have some agenda that is prepared for Mo. So we'll be like a question and answer session. So, but anyhow, Mo is our older friend. We want to welcome Mo back to here for a listening tour and also give your advice on some of the issues, and that would be great. We only probably have for the Zoom has a limit like 40 minutes, so everybody just follow the agenda, go by that. Dennis will close that. So Mo, give us a little intro about your background and how long you've been on the select board, and what's your role there, and what's your vision for the future, and then we go from the question and answer session. Mo.
谢谢 Dennis and John. Ni hao. I apologize for that being about the limit of my Mandarin, but one can always learn more. Let me start by saying how deep felt and sorry our pain is for your pain in this time of these events that are murdering Asian people in this country and all of the hate that came from, I would say, the previous administration, but we have been cursed with this problem in this country for decades. And many of us, including my entire board and the government of this town, is committed that this not be in the culture of Needham. And to the extent that you think we need more help doing that, we welcome you telling us if we're failing you or if there are other things we haven't thought of that we can be doing to make sure that you are safe, welcome, and well respected in this community, because you are. And I want to thank you for including me and my wife and my other colleagues in your invitation to the New Year celebration. It's a joy to be there, and I've met people that I've known in other realms there as well, including the lady who taught us a little bit of Chinese Mandarin for when we went to Beijing. It must be 5 or 6 years ago now. So we're very grateful to Needham's Chinese community, and we want you to be a part of our community in every sense of the word. And to the extent that you want us to be part of your community, we would love to be part of your community. There is a vigil tomorrow at 2 for a half an hour. You must know of this, and many of us will be there as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about what our board does and what issues we're looking at. If you'd like me to do that, I can do that. Our board is the executive board of the town, which means the 5 of us together become the mayor, and we employ the town manager. So it is as if we were one person when we tell her to do something. And so we have to reach a consensus on important issues, because if two of us disagree with three, the three will prevail, but the town manager will be conflicted in what she does. So we try to reach consensus. And that means often I don't get to do it the way I would do it, or some of my colleagues don't get the way to do it. They get to do it the way they would like to do it. But we do agree on many, many things. And one of them is advancing the economic interests of the town by making sure that we get tax income from the commercial activities in Needham. And part of that was around why we were so interested when we were approached to become a sister city with Daxing, because we want to welcome Chinese business to Needham. And to help American businesses that want to do business in China, to the economic benefit of all of our citizens in Needham, because the businesses pay taxes but don't use town services. So we have been trying to do that, and we've been very successful. If you follow local issues, there is a big fuss now over what to do with Muzzy Ford. Do you know that area at the intersection? So we have been working for over 7 years to try to make that a much more productive land use. And all of a sudden, people are starting to get very angry, and there's a big fuss on Facebook over it. I don't read Facebook because I think it's a lot of misinformation, but there has been a lot of talk about that on Facebook. We, as a town, are very conscious of the fact that we need to provide more housing for people in this region. Boston has a deficit of about 200,000 housing units in greater Boston. Needham has a housing shortage. I think if you have bought a home recently in Needham, you have noticed that homes are selling for more than their price. And it's getting more and more expensive, but that means people who are relatively poor who live here suddenly can't pay their own taxes. So it's become a problem for us. Our biggest expense in Needham is the schools. And if you take all of the expenses the town spends, almost 2/3 go to schools, either directly through the portion of the budget that is allocated to the schools, and from the town budget, which is separate from the school budget, for maintaining the buildings and providing other services to the schools. So $3 out of every or $3 out of every 4 or $2 out of every 3 of your taxes go to provide education. I know from today, because I received an email from a young woman who moved to Needham recently, whose child is in kindergarten, and she is Asian, and she is very concerned about the school curriculum and its sensitivity to the needs of her children in particular. And so I put her in touch with the chairman of the school committee, and they're talking back and forth about how the needs of her child are being met and how they can be met better. Safety and police. The job of our police is to keep everybody safe. They are like everybody else. Sometimes they make mistakes, sometimes they're rude, but most of the time, they do what they're supposed to do, and we are constantly training them to be sensitive to the fact that when they approach a person who is not white, that person doesn't feel the same way that I might feel. If I get pulled over for speeding, I find that very intimidating. But if I were Asian or Black, I think I would be much more afraid of what could happen to me. And I think we're just beginning to realize that in this society. And we are on the executive part of the town, my board, trying to make sure that we're doing everything we can to have everybody who deals with the public, and that's not just people who live here, but people who work here or go to or drive through Needham, to make sure that everybody who deals with them from the town is sensitive to their needs and their safety. And again, you should feel free to approach anybody on my board or in the town manager's office if you experience anything that makes you feel less than equal to anybody here, because you are as American as anybody you will meet on the street anywhere in this country. Every one of you is as American as I am. And maybe more because you choose to be here if you weren't born here. I was born here. But many of you choose to be here. That makes you special to me. COVID. Needham had its own supply of vaccine, as did many other towns. And we were vaccinating about 600 people a day, twice a week, until about a week ago when the state took away our vaccine to get it to areas where they could get more productivity in vaccinating people. So we lost our vaccine supply. So we won't be doing that until we get more, and the state may give us more. We're trying to get the state of Massachusetts to let us do that because our clinic was very efficient. I worked the front desk there. I got to say ni hao to several people who looked very surprised when I did. And it was a great experience for the people who came for their shots and the people who were providing that care for them, everybody. It was a nice experience for the town and for people who came here to get their shots, but we won't be doing that anymore. I have some statistics from the Globe. I don't know if anybody saw the statistics from the Globe on shots. I have it on my desktop. It might take me a minute or two to find it. If you bear with me, I'll find it. Because it broke it down by ethnic group, which I thought was kind of interesting. I apologize for the delay here.
It's okay.
But what was interesting in that was white people and Asian people had about the same rate of getting shots. The group that got the highest percent, which was about 35%, and Black people had the highest percentage. And I looked at that and I was scratching my head, but then I realized it's small numbers. So there were about 320 people who were Black who got shots, but who were here, but about half of them got shots, but that's a very small number, so it skewed the statistics. But about 35% of the people in Needham have been vaccinated, which is typical for this area. And then I think I've covered most of what was on your agenda, other than the town has many opportunities to participate, including in the elections. In the election for my seat, for example, we have one South Asian person running. She was born here, but her parents are South Asian. She is running. A Black person is running, and I'm running, and then one other guy is running. So there's opportunity for anybody to run for seats and in an election. But we have many towns and many committees in the town, volunteer opportunities. And those are on the town website. and we're always looking for people who want to be active. Town meeting, I don't know where folks live in Needham in this meeting, but many times town meeting seats go vacant. And those are 3-year terms. Town meeting is the legislator of the town. So in some towns, that's anybody who lives in the town can go and vote when there's a town meeting, which is once a year. In Needham, it's representative. So 240 people are elected, 24 in each district, 8 each year. Those sometimes are very contested, but often they're not. So anybody who wants to be involved in government, if they run for it once or twice, eventually they'll get in, and that's the body that actually funds the town. They adopt the budget, they pass zoning, and they pass bylaws that govern the town. And anybody can, if they really want to, can get elected to that. And I would encourage anybody who wants to do that to do it. And if they want help on how to do it or how to run a campaign, I am always happy to help. And so are all of my colleagues. Now, I've spoken a long time here, but I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Sure. Thank you very much for the perspectives. I think Vivian has a question, and feel free to ask ask the question if you can.
Vivian, can you unmute and speak up?
Yeah, I did. I'm not sure if she's there though.
Isn't Zoom amazing? Where would we be without this? I mean, I spend my day on Zoom.
I know, it's best friend now.
Sure.
And it's going to change work patterns.
It is. It does. It saves a lot of time. You don't have any excuse for not working now. Yeah.
You go from meeting to meeting though without any commuting time. It's so you can schedule them back to back. Couldn't do that before.
Exactly. That's what happens. So work overtime, and even more. Mr. Mo, so I have a question regarding. It's like we got a lot of support from the town regarding stop Asian hate. I'm wondering, it's like because we are making some signs, so where it's like with a stop Asian hate as a kind of a yard sign.
Yes.
I'm wondering if this is possible. Like we can share some of the signs with maybe the town's offices, like so they can put it out like on the yard, on the side of the road.
Or we can. I would put one in my yard. We can publicize it. We have what's called the Needham Diversity Initiative.
Yeah.
And the president of that, I think, is Rebecca Drill.
Okay.
She has the Black Lives Matter sign, and I guarantee you she would be happy to distribute the is it Asian lives?
Stop Asian hate.
Stop Asian hate. She will do it. I know the churches and the synagogues will do it.
That'd be great more if the town common, outside the town hall, maybe if it's okay, talk to the town manager, we can put a couple of signs there.
We can ask about that. I think this is a good time to ask about that because I think we're all very sensitive to that. And I can let her know that you're going to be asking for that. It is her authority, but I will let her know that.
Thank you, Mo.
I will put one on my lawn.
Awesome.
And I know many of my friends will. And if I'm going to look and see if I have Rebecca Drill's phone number right now.
Yeah. I get connected with the Needham Diversity Initiative with Anita. And also like I think she's organizing the vigil tomorrow too.
Okay.
I will be.
You should bring some.
Sorry.
Do you have them?
I don't have them yet, but I should have them like sometime in mid of next week. We have the design, so we kind of I think the community itself is started. We started to putting orders in now, so we should be able to have them like mid of next week.
You should bring a sign-up sheet to the vigil.
Okay,
and
yeah, I
announce
will.
that.
I will mention that too during the statement for if there's a chance.
Yeah, no, you should, and then people can sign up, and then you can tell them where to get them, or I don't know how to get them out quickly, but I know the churches have been very good with this.
Sure,
There's
that's good.
Hi, sorry, I was away from my iPad.
That's fine.
So yes, we do have a Google form where people can sign up.
Great.
It's
You mean
posted
for
on the
the
Needham
for the signs?
for the yard signs, correct?
Okay, so I don't have a Google form for that yet, but
There is.
okay, if you can
there's
type your email in the chat box, I will reach out to you with it. And another thing is like probably or you can send an email. I'm sorry, maybe send
Dennis, this is Wenwen. I was talking to you on WeChat.
Oh, okay, all right.
You connect
Yes,
after the call. That'll be fine. You connect.
Yeah.
More quick question for you. You said
Yes.
police have. Did the police already have diversity training, or it's a regular
Yes.
like a once a year training?
No, it's ongoing diversity training. My opinion is that even if we think it's adequate, it cannot possibly be adequate. It can't ever be enough.
Yeah.
Because these are
so.
guys who are not very diverse.
Yeah, I think maybe going forward, maybe there's opportunity we can have some direct, conversation with police chief and police department if we have concerns. So
Yes, of
through
course.
Dennis, we probably channel these concerns, have some dialogue. I know there's a different forum going on right
Yes.
now, but with Needham, particularly our hometown, we should do a little more for that kind of prevention.
Yes, and he is very accessible. So if you want to meet with him, if you let Kate know, or if you let me know, it depends. I mean, if I get elected, you can let me know. If I don't get elected, you can let my successor know. But and she will arrange a meeting if you have particular concerns without question. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a website for my campaign. If you want me to put an announcement on that website about the signs, I will do it. So do you have my email?
Yes, I do. Yeah. So
by text.
Thank you very much for the help. Yeah. So I'm kind of in the middle of making like submitting the orders to get the signs over.
Okay.
So after maybe later in this weekend, I can send you an email like regarding how to collaborate or coordinate on this.
Are you looking for contributions from people to pay for the signs? We could do that too, I think.
Oh, the signs, yeah. So the signs will be ordered. Well, listen, yeah, maybe we need it, maybe not. But I'll take a look. I'll take a look. So that I know the time is very tight here. So maybe we can talk about this later.
Okay, but I'll just let you know that on the Black Lives Matter sign,
sure,
they would give you one if you asked for it. I mean, talking about me, but they also asked for contribution. So,
I see.
The person who had them outside her house, when I picked mine up, had a little box. No questions asked. You could put a contribution in and take a sign.
Gotcha.
So you might want to do that as well.
Cool. Yeah. So anybody else with no questions?
So far we have in the chat, or you can speak out. Either way, if you have questions, just put it in the chat or speak out.
Hi, this is Xiaodong.
Hi.
Well, hi, and nice to see everyone, and it's on the screen. And thank you for the update on the town affairs. I wanted to make a comment. I feel that our community, I really feel this is a very caring community. So I know that now it's a challenging time. We know what happened around the country in recent days. Yeah. And yesterday, one of my neighbors, a couple, called my wife and just to share about their thinking about it, and then offer to. He said, "This is just not right. It should not happen in America. Should not have any community here," and wanted to join force and to demonstrate. And also I was asking about the funding. She wanted to donate. I mean, the couple wanted to donate their money, and and to support our whatever activity we want to do. So I feel that Needham, I feel really it's a very, it's a great community. And
Thank you for that.
yeah, other than that, I just want to make this comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think most people in Needham are welcoming. It doesn't take many to make the community appear not to be welcoming. But I think most people are welcoming people. I mean, I have found that here. I'm Jewish. That's a minority. And when I first moved here, there weren't so many Jewish people. So yeah, I think most people are okay in terms of being understanding that everybody is in the same community. But it's heartening to know that your neighbor reached out to you.
That's wonderful.
More, yeah, more quick question on the 40B, the zoning
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Does Needham reach the maximum by state regulation, or like
Yes.
every year, once a year, still have something coming up? So the residents is, concerned about it. I mean, I know both sides has valid reasons. So where we are now?
Okay, so we are at roughly 13%. The requirement is 10%. And the difference for us means that if somebody has a proposal and we don't like it, if it's too big for the area or it doesn't fit in, we can say no.
Mm-hmm.
So
we over the limit already. We meet all the requirements.
Yeah, but on new multifamily buildings, where we allow them, we require that at least 12 or 15% be affordable. Because if we don't do that, we'll fall below the 10%.
How many projects going on right now? Is it one or two in the proposal? What phases are they in? Did you know?
Which proposal?
For the 40B, do we have a recent proposal?
We have a recent proposal on Great Plain Avenue for a 17-unit 40B.
Okay.
That one was approved, but the neighbor is appealing it because access to that, it's a small building, but access to it runs alongside her lot on an easement. So she feels affected, and so she's appealing it. But that was one that we supported because it will serve people who need to walk to the train who may not have cars. We have zoning in across 128 for a 250 unit development, but we don't have a proposal for that.
But and if somebody for that no
that's
proposal
not going to
yet,
be 40B though. That will be just multifamily with.
They're just a regular. It's not a 40B. It's a regular. But is that possible? The developer can keep proposing the 40B, even we met it.
Yes,
keep going 20%, 25%. So becoming a discussion in the community, who appeal, that kind of go through the process, right? I mean, okay.
Yes. And if the neighborhood is successful at convincing the zoning board of appeals that it shouldn't be there, they can say no, whereas before they really couldn't, although there was always room to negotiate. So if you're familiar with the one on Greendale Avenue, that was proposed at 300 units. It's now 138 or 6, something like that.
Does the board have a position on that, or basically stay out of that kind of discussion? The board, select board on that. Let the zoning committee take care of that. The board
40B is the sole approval authority for 40B is the zoning board of appeals. Other boards can comment. My board appoints the zoning board of appeals members, but we don't tell them what to do. And even if we did, they don't have to listen to us. But they do listen to us in terms of what our concerns are. So on the one on Greendale Avenue, we had a lot of concerns, and we worked with them and the developer to reach a level where the developer could still do it, but wouldn't create a 300-unit development in an area that couldn't sustain the traffic or the volume of building.
Yeah, I saw Natalie has a question. Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Yes, Natalie. So no, thank you, for joining this group. I was actually the one that you were mentioning before who reached out to you regarding basically issues of racism within the Needham school system. So one thing that I actually do want to call attention to is the fact that, one student that I was working closely with has told me that she actually got the coronavirus comment thrown in her face in classroom where it was actually not addressed. And I do find that problematic from a system perspective, because while we advocate that Needham is a very, very, very nice town, everyone's very, very friendly and warm, it's contrary to the student experience, and also contrary to what I've heard about from other Needham graduates. So I would like to have you speak more about that and what you think as a select boardman you can do to really address in some ways the subtle racism that's actually pervasive in our school system.
Well, first of all, I think subtle racism or overt racism is absolutely unacceptable. I put you in touch with Andrea Longo Carter so that you would have access to her. We have no authority over the schools, but we are citizens of the town. So to the extent that I know school committee members, I can let them know how unacceptable it is for any discrimination or any innuendo to be laid on kids or anybody. It is totally unacceptable. My sister-in-law teaches English as a second language, and one of her Chinese student friends called her up last year and asked her if she could still be her friend. Now that is so sad to me that we have created an atmosphere in this country. I don't blame that one on Needham. I blame that on the former president. But we can't let that linger. We have to make it known. And if you know what class that was and what teacher, that should be reported to the schools.
Right, and that's kind of really the crux of the issue, which is Asian Americans are silent minority. And their issues are, they don't feel they can actually vocally verbalize the discrimination that they're experiencing in the school system. And the student told me in private, so I mean, I can relay the message to her, but maybe she doesn't feel like it's a safe space for her to really speak up, because ultimately the teacher should have been reporting it to the school. Well, it was not done. So
well, let me add something that may give you some comfort, although it's not going to happen immediately. We are in discussion, my board, with the Human Rights Committee, which is a committee we report. And they want to become a safe space for people to bring these kinds of issues. So even if it happens in the schools, there would be a safe space for somebody to come forward and talk about it without fear that they would make somebody angry in the schools, for example. And we're having this discussion right now, my board and the Human Rights Committee, because we want to find a way for that to happen. The racial incident we had in Needham in January that affected a Black man. If he had a place where he felt safe to bring that forward, we would have known about that incident 6 months before we found out about it. So till that happens, though, you are safe talking to the lady I referred you to. She is a safe person to talk to. She will not betray a confidence. And we have to find a way to let people know that they are safe if they bring forward these things. But we need to find a way to make them feel comfortable in doing that.
I agree, Mo, and I appreciate that comment. I do want to add that it's not only creating safe space, it's also providing every student that goes through the Needham school system with a well-balanced education where they value diversity and difference of opinion, and it's just not, one specific perspective. I want to leave it at that.
No, but I could not agree with you more. We must be doing that. And we have to find a way to make sure that that happens. Those of us who are involved with the schools and those of us who pay for the schools, and we all pay for the schools.
Right. And I also want to add, I think I do critically believe that, ethnic study component is something that needs to be more integrated within the curriculum, as well as diversity hiring.
Absolutely. We have a very European-centric curriculum. You can only imagine how European-centric it was when I was growing up compared to how it is now. It was much, much worse, and we have a very long way to go.
Yeah, Mo, and Natalie, that's a great point. School leadership, I think, need to take more responsibility on that. Curriculum reform, all that kind of thing that should never happen, and should deal with that, very swiftly. But question to Mo, on the school budget or personnel, I mean, at least for the school budget, how much select board has a say? I mean, I know the school budget is a little different area.
Okay.
I mean, you don't control directly the money, but what kind of say you have? If you don't like the school administration, the select board really want to speak out, what you can do, Mo?
All right, this is going to be hard to explain, but I'm going to try. The school budget is separate from the town budget. The school committee is technically not local officials. They live here, they're elected here, but technically they're state officials. Same thing with the housing authority. So their budget is separate, but they have to bring it to town meeting, which is why it's important for people who are interested to be town meeting members. And town meeting has a committee called the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee can only tell the schools how much money in total they can have. What happens inside that budget is completely up to the school committee. On the town side, my board has no authority whatsoever on the budget. We employ the town manager and we tell her what our priorities are. So for example, achieving racial equity is one of our priorities. And she prepares a draft budget that meets those priorities. And we can support or not support that budget. It doesn't matter. That budget goes to the Finance Committee, and she negotiates that budget with our support with the Finance Committee, which is appointed by the moderator, who is the chairman of the town meeting. And those people take her budget and they make it into their budget. And that's the budget the town meeting votes on. And on the town budget, everything is by department. So nothing can move from one department to another once the budget is approved. On the school committee side, the total amount is approved and the school department can move that money around any way they want. Two totally different.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Mo.
it's how we evolved. We did not start out as an organized society. So towns are very, very diversified. Having a town manager for us has been within the last 15 years. Before that, my board did the budget.
Yeah.
But when we adopted the town manager form of budget, form of government, she drafted the budget and the Finance Committee became the body that brings it to town meeting.
Right. Thank you, Mo. The board controls the town budget, including police and a fire department budget, not
Everything
the school,
but the school.
Separate.